It's 7:10 a.m. This is the Loon Lake Forest Service Road. Level crossing. It's hard to see the rails. That's looking railway east towards Loon Lake. And I'm going this way, railway west. This is mile 22.2 on the Esquimalt and Nanaimo Railway's Port Alberni Subdivision. Today is October 3rd, 2025, and the last time I was here doing a hike was exactly 1 year ago today. That's just kind of how it worked out. And the last time there were trains here was early January 2002. So over 23 and a half years ago. The last kind of maintenance on this area that I'm walking today was in 2021 and 2022 when a fiber optic cable was installed beside the line. So that resulted in cutting back some of the trees and the overgrowth. But in a lot of places it's coming back, of course. This is a rainforest. So this is Vancouver Island, seen here on the map on the west coast of British Columbia, Canada. So this subdivision, the Port Alberni subdivision, ran from Parksville on the east coast of the island to Port Alberni. And Port Alberni is in the central part of Vancouver Island, but it has ocean that goes out to the open Pacific via a long inlet. That's why it's a port. So I'm going down grade here. The summit is behind me. And so it's just going to be a steady downgrade the entire hike. So the Port Alberni subdivision is 38 miles long. I think that's to the point where it enters the rail yard in Port Alberni. And over the last 6, coming into 7 years since 2019, I've hiked about 21 miles of it, and those 21 miles I had broken up into about 6 different hikes that I enjoyed doing. Some years I did them multiple times, 3, sometimes 4 times a year in various seasons. And in the last couple years I've reverted to just once a year for each of those hikes. I love railway history, so I love walking in areas like this where the infrastructure is still there. I can remember what I've read in my history books and get lots of good exercise as I walk through it without danger of being clunked by a train. So all of the segments that I enjoy hiking are out and back hikes. I don't mind that. I find it interesting in either direction. And I often start at dawn, just as I'm doing now. And today is extra special for me because there's fog in the Alberni Valley reaching up to the summit. And so I love the lighting that fog gives. It's an ethereal mood. So this segment today started mile 22.2 at the Loon Lake Forest Service Road crossing. And I'm hopefully continuing to milepost 26. In between here and there, well, I go past a couple old trestle sites where the trestles were dismantled in 1971 and replaced by a rerouted grade that hugs the slope. More about that when I see it. And then there's one trestle that still exists just before milepost 25. And I'm curious to see its condition because it's been deteriorating on the deck quite a bit. And down below, the supports are on rotting timbers. The foliage overgrowth isn't too bad here. I mean, my boots are going to get wet from just walking through damp foliage all morning. That's okay. But the real problem for me are the areas where the Scotch broom weeds are really thick and tall. have to walk through that, and I'll get soaked because they've got moisture from the overnight dew and recent rain. And also, for a lot of the year, they carry ticks, and I hate ticks. So I only do these hikes between October and April generally. The reason that I do these hikes, besides my love of railway history and the need for exercise and for good mental health of enjoying being outside, well, I also like to see how nature pushes back against this rail line, because the pushback is constant over the years, and there's generally nothing to keep it in check now, other than the odd bit of maintenance done by just informal people who want to maintain this as a trail, which is essentially what it is. Let's look behind us. Yeah. The highway, by the way, is down the slope through those trees as the highway makes a steep descent into the Alberni Valley, Highway 4. So I like to see the pushback of nature just because it's relentless, and things like windfall trees, rock fall, some mudslides and rock slides. And as some of you know, during summer 2025 there was a wildfire at Wesley Ridge over the eastern portion of Cameron Lake's northern slope. That's where the railway is, but that's about 8 miles east of where I am today. So I am well away from that old fire zone. It has its own hazards now. Things typical after a wildfire, like trees that could fall at any time. All that kind of danger. Not to mention some trestles that are no longer passable by me because they got burned. No such issues today where I am. Here comes my first milepost for the day. I should see 4 of them, and this one is milepost 23, hidden by the trees on the left-hand side coming up. I got a thing for mileposts, mainly because they're the last indication that this used to be an active railway, other than the rails. This first mile of my hike was kind of boring. Well, just simple. Gets me closer to the more interesting stuff, like the old trestle sites and some more beautiful rock cuts.